So, Brian at SPG Ben wrote an interesting piece where he's just got his black belt, so congratulations to him, on frames not being straight lines. And he kind of said it, he's just got a black belt and started thinking about stuff, and there's this black belt thinking. That's kind of funny. Because it's how people, I think, should be thinking. So I got into a bit of an online fracas with somebody who told me he was a 3-stroke brown belt or whatever it was, and frames are straight. Frames are straight by definition, and it's like, I don't believe they are. What Brian's written a nice piece on is that actually words to the effect of, you can have frames that kind of rotate and move, and I've talked for a long time about this on underhooks in class. I don't think we've ever managed to get it on video about an underhook and the kind of the evolution of the underhook in my head, why it's a frame, even though people don't think that was another thing this guy said, underhooks are not frames. So, well, they are frames, because when I have an underhook to begin with, the fact they're straight or not doesn't mean they're not a frame, right? Architecture has lots of things that aren't straight lines that are still frames. So this position basically, 3-arm positions, and I'm not saying this is how you always do an underhook or anything like that, but if he were sort of wizarding me a little bit, we're kind of cold, but if he were wizarding me a little bit, the first one is that I'm basically a full retraction. I'm basically retracting my elbow to my hip bone. John Frankel basically got me onto this. And from Frankel, I effectively took 2 positions of the arm. There is a full retraction, which is where my elbow is going towards my iliac. So if he was pulling my arm, classic thing you'll see Hickson type demos show, this use of base, and I'm not emphasizing the base here. I know there's lots of factors, but I'm just like turning my thumb out, which is a basic full retraction, turning the thumb out. The thumb seems to lead the way here. So the basic gist of this bit, this portion of the underhook, is a retraction. I could be pulling down on it, whatever, but it's basically this idea. And then the other idea that Frankel got me into was a full extension. So as I would be taking the back, I'm just emphasizing the arm movement here, my arm movement would be essentially doing akin to a front crawl. And you see this all through Hickson's Jiu-Jitsu, where he puts the hand to the mat on back takes. So my thumb, notice, is turning completely inwards. And then one other thing then in this, and it basically draws an arc when you start looking at it, is John Kavanagh years ago did a guillotine seminar. If you ever do it, he talks about looking at your watch on guillotines. It's basically putting his elbow high up. And my arm goes into, like, at the time I thought, oh, that's just like a kimura. That's interesting. So it's kind of like he looks at his watch, when he's doing a guillotine, but it's essentially kimuring himself, but he's got somebody's head. So it's the same frame, forms this little triangle. And so as we're going through this position of my underhook, when I look at my watch on the underhook, I'm basically beginning through here to create an arc through a collection of little pyramids. So I could be here, I'm looking at my watch, and then I'm doing a full extension. And the more when I do the full extension, I don't go towards his head and push his head like some people show, because he can actually pull my arm and throw me. Yeah, he can connect that elbow, step across, whatever. The arm comes this way, like a front crawl. It's like I'm looking that way. And you'll see that all through his thing. So that's the 3 positions of the arm. So we'll just get warmed up with that in standing. And you can obviously increase the whizzer if your shoulders start to warm up and so on, you put the whizzer on a little bit more. But we're just going through that idea of full retraction, effectively. I'm just going to pull just for now, just mentally for this. Then as I'm trying to open this area up, I'm looking at my watch. And then my final piece, as I'm of course rotating my feet at the same time, is to do this front crawl movement, and I take it towards his elbow joint away. And in the end, your thumb will eventually stop, and you'll put your hand to the mat. Yeah, let's just have a go at that in the warm-up, and you'll find these 3-arm positions are just absolutely everywhere.